Right now is a good time for me to celebrate because I have been informed over an in5d.com a lovely article about planetary shifts in the zodiac signs. I've just learned that in December 2014, Saturn, a very not nice planet, entered Sagittarius. As a Sagittarius, I feel that this has impacted me a great deal. In December 2014, life was okay, but in January of 2014, I had what I consider the Mac Daddy of all my visions and mystical experiences. And in celebration of Saturn finally getting out of my zodiac sign and into somebody else's, I will warn every one of those I know of. And to find out which one, you probably should read the article as well as the whole series. I'm finding it to be very illuminating and coincides with the events that have transpired with me. Also, today is December 7th, 2017. Mercury is in retrograde. And for those of you who don't understand that, again, something very valuable to look into. But in celebration of the planets shifting out of my poor little sign, there I am starting the artwork for the part, a segment of the very large mystical experience I had, and it's called the Rainbow Outrider, and I'm going to post try to blend into the picture. And this is the very beginning. The one thing that was very unique about this entity was that he was comprised completely of the tubes that you see, all neon rainbow, glowing back and forth, pulsating. I could tell it was a person on horseback. It was a very large person, but he was also riding a very large animal, which I think was a bull. And an outrider back in the day, when there were horse-drawn carriages, was a single man on horseback who would ride ahead of the pack and then of the carriage procession to make sure there was no trees or and fallen in the road or an ambush or the bridge was still there, and then he would ride back, and then to tell them it was safe, they would go, and then he would ride forward. So he would go, he was the outrider, he'd go back and forth and back and forth. And I always found this concept interesting, um, because also I'm a huge fan of a musician who had a band called Outrider, and I got to see him play live in that band in 1988. But that's kind of like, this gentleman, the Outrider, the Rainbow Outrider, and he was very Rasta. It was a very Rasta kind of dreadlock, glowing dreadlocks. So I just want to give you a little tidbit of that because in my situation, I was having a very extended mystical experience, and I was kind of timid after one part, and he kept coming to me, and he would look at me, and then he would go off to the distance, and then kind of look over his shoulder to see if I was following, and I would follow him. He was very nice to look at. He was it was as if the pulsating colors of his rainbows were making music for me to hear, even though there was no speaking. It was implicit what he was doing, and I wanted to follow him because I wanted to hear the colors, his colors making their music, and it was more of a sensation than anything else. And then he did lead me up towards the other part and the last part of the vision. But this is the artwork that I'm working on. I'm not an artist um, at all. I'm pretty nifty with computers, but not with the more artistic part of computers. I did a lot of database work, a lot of data analysis, and I'm very good at explaining, computers to people. Um, but I'm not a an artist by any stretch. So the sheer fact that I was able to recreate just one of the tubes, and then next I have to like piece it into the shape of him and the bull that he was riding.